Once you've created your new project, you must enter control into your survey database, otherwise you won't be able to process your pickup file. To access your survey control database, you can do that from the traffic light icon or from the calculations pull down menu. Choose survey control database. Because this is a new project, you will see that there is no control data existing in your database. Control data can consist of control stations or reference stations. To add control points, you can either do this manually or you can import this information via the import a CSV file option, bearing in mind it must be in the correct format for QuikSlope to be able to read it. First we will enter this information manually. Select the Add Control Point button. Choose your name. This can be a mixture of alpha and numeric, or it can be solely numeric, solely alpha. You can have multiple listings of control points and reference prisms as well. This is to cater for moving control or perhaps change in reference points. For this new control point, this is going to be a reference prism. And this is the name for the reference prism. Select your control point. You'll see that control point ref 10130 has been displayed and there are no coordinates for this reference point. Choose Add New Entry Line. Using your cursor or your tab key on your keypad, you can move to the different data grids. You'll see today's date has been automatically displayed. Please note the short date format. It must be in this option. And if it isn't, you need to change it on your computer via the Start button under the Control Panel option. But more on that later. Key in your coordinates. In the reference control prism box, it is a good idea to put a description of what this particular control point is, or whether it needs a reference control prism for this setup point. As I said, this is a reference prism, so I will put in here reference prism. Now you can either OK out of this option, which will take you back to the main QuikSlope menu, or if you need to add more control points, select the Add Control Point button, key in the new name. For this it's going to be 10120, select OK, choose 10120 from the Select Control Point box. Again, you'll see no coordinates being displayed. Select the Add New Entry Line. Key. Again, using your cursor or your tab key. Key in the new control points. Again, in the reference control point box, you need to put the reference control prism for this control station. For this example, the reference control prism for station 10120 is ref 10130. Now you'll see that I have made an error in the northing, so I can either go back to that data grid using my cursor and correct it, or I could have gone back into it later to correct that particular coordinate. To select that particular control point again, just choose 10, 120, and if you want to change the coordinates, you can do so simply by selecting the data grid and keying over the incorrect coordinate. Now if you need to import control, as I said before, choose import a CSV file option. You'll be prompted with the correct format for this option. Select OK. Choose the file from your directory. You'll see all the new control data being displayed in your database. You can also have multiple listings of the same control point. See 10119. See that there are 2 lines of control for 10119. This means that the control data has changed slightly from the 23rd of September 01, and on the 1st of December 01 new control data has been entered for this control station. Control points are stored by dates and can have multiple entries, which is meant to cater for 2 important situations: moving coordinates and a change in reference point. The control should be checked periodically so that updated XYZ values can be added. That is why the date is an important part of the control database. Calculation errors can occur if the date of the setup data precedes the date of the earliest control listing. So remember, the first control data, the date must precede the initial setup. If you wish to delete a control point, simply highlight it and select Delete Control Point, like so. Delete control. It will prompt you, are you sure you want to delete all entries for control ID 10120? Be careful when using this option, because once it's been deleted from your database, you cannot retrieve this data. You must re-enter it manually. It is good practice to add a new entry line with updated information rather than deleting a control point. It is important to maintain a history of the control data coordinates so that a recalculation of the complete database can be done at any time.